In depth, close to a majority of academics now believe UFOs warrant scholarly research. America's fascination with UFOs and extraterrestrials is deeply entrenched, with theories about government cover-ups and covert operations rife across the country. Initially, the claims made by Grusch fed this insatiable need to find out more about these mysterious objects and how much the government knows about them, so much so that the U.S. House of Representatives launched an investigation into his claims. But as time has gone on, cracks have started to emerge and many are starting to wonder how accurate these claims really are. How big is this story? I'm going to have to disappoint you all from the outset. This is not quite the smoking ray gun moment that changes the course of history. At this point, it's just a lot of second and third-hand information, Eghigian says. The whistleblower, David Grusch, has not said that he has seen any physical evidence himself or touched a flying saucer. He simply has said that he has seen some documents. In short, this story does not quite pass the smell test. Grusch's claims have also expanded since the original report in the debrief, adding in subsequent interviews that the US had also found alien pilots and that some of the crafts were the size of an American football field, about 3/4 of a regular football field. Despite adding these details, Grusch has failed to show any evidence nor said he has seen any of these things firsthand. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, an office within the purview of the Department of Defense set up to investigate UAPs, has denied all of the claims made by Grusch. With all this in mind, Eghigian encourages caution, which is pretty characteristic given his academic background as a historian. He also points out that this pattern, of somebody who previously worked in some kind of federal department, coming forward with bombshell allegations, has been going on since the 1950s. Eghigian is also skeptical about the veracity of these claims because it looks like Grusch followed Pentagon protocol in publishing this information, meaning that the Department of Defense approved the information he would pass on to the press, which is something the department only does if the information is not classified. If Grusch is telling the truth, surely this information would be classified, Eghigian says, and the department would not have allowed him to go on the record. Growing interest in UFOs. Historically, research into UAPs has been relegated to the space of conspiracy theories, with scientists dismissing evidence as unreliable sightings made by eccentric hobbyists. But in the last 6 years, following the revelations from an explosive New York Times report that uncovered the existence of a defunct secret Pentagon program set up to investigate unidentified flying objects, there has been surging interest in rigorously and scientifically examining these objects. One big change is the involvement of NASA. Last week it set up a public panel alongside a committee and they are setting out a roadmap for looking into UAPs, Eghigian says. That's unprecedented. NASA, historically, wanted nothing to do with UFOs, and the fact that these civilian scientists are asking scientifically informed questions, that's new. This shift has helped legitimate interest in understanding and researching UAPs in universities as well. I've seen in academia there is much more willingness for people to openly talk about investigating and studying this topic. Eghigian has been to major conferences in the past 2 years, where the primary topic of discussion was UAPs. Close to a majority of academics now believe that the study of UFOs warrants scholarly research. That's a sea change. Eghigian attributes this transition in opinion to the fact that the U.S. intelligence and military services have said that some of these UAPs are not optical illusions or computer glitches or result of mass hysteria. In 2021, the Pentagon released a report on UAPs which found more than 140 instances of UAP encounters that could not be explained. Officials at the time did not rule out the possibility that the objects are extraterrestrial. Is it just an American obsession? While it certainly feels like a decidedly American obsession, there are a number of other countries that have spent significant amounts of money, time and expertise on tracking down UAPs. France, for example, has had a state-run department, albeit a small one, dedicated to investigating unidentified objects. The UK and Denmark had one too, but they were shut down due to budget cuts. I think it's fair to say, however, that the United States was always the major hub for the coverage of this phenomenon, Eghigian concludes. What might happen next? The House of Representatives plans to hold a hearing on Grusch's claims in the coming weeks, headed up by Republicans Tim Burchett, who appeared on a podcast with far-right figure Steve Bannon to talk about UAPs, and Anna Paulina Luna, who believes the government has been lying to the public about UAPs for decades. So it seems that Grusch's claims are resonating with a particular faction of Congress that are prone to indulging in conspiracies. For those more interested in evidence-based research, curiosity about UAPs continues to grow. Eghigian predicts far more buy-in from other academic disciplines. We'll likely see interdisciplinary research from a lot of different angles, scholars in social science, philosophy, religious studies studying this phenomenon, as well as the natural sciences. This is a transitional period for the study of UAPs. But, like everything else in academia, it will be a slow multi-pronged approach that does not yield the big wow moments that capture headlines. Until a flying saucer lands in front of the White House, that is. For the XZBN Broadcast Network and the Chronicles newspaper, I am Brooke McGuire.